welcome to the Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 edition of your breakfast show, Inside Nigeria. It's reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Bebo this morning, and I'm going to be anchoring the first segment of the program where we just review the headline stories of some select newspapers today. As usual, we are flagging up with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership is leading with the story. Investors upbeat as British government backs Tinubu's reforms. Investors upbeat as British government backs Tinubu's reforms. UK sees Nigeria as a big opportunity for investments. Shettima British envoy discuss palliatives over subsidy removal. UK sees Nigeria as a big opportunity for investments. Shettima British envoy discuss palliatives over subsidy removal. Of course, on leadership, we have a picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu receiving a briefing from members of his delegation ahead of his participation at the new Global Financing Pact Summit holding in Paris yesterday. A picture from the State House. About that, we have ROMAFC denies increasing salaries of president, senators, orders. Lagos Chamber seeks tax cut over rising food cost. About the masthead of leadership agreement, we are giving president time, says ASU. Hajj now going to operate 18 clinics in Muna, Arafat. Back to the beside the story, beside the picture, we have 15 killed in fresh plateau attacks. Seems like the attacks, the deaths remain unabated. Marwa warns against stigmatization of drug abusers. Tinubu INEC kick as Obi tenders PVCs from 32 states. We move over to the page 3 of leadership to see the editorial, which is our stand. And today's editorial is on combating trafficking in persons. Combating trafficking in persons. Just before we go, move over to the back page of the paper. The Thursday column with Stripe Gimme Tinubu like and unlike Buhari. Tinubu like and unlike Buhari. Ghana Mosdo says, I've been running Zamfara on debt. Matawale left 4 million naira. Governor Lawa, you want Matawale back? That is the question Ghana Mosdo is asking to that news. For more stories on leadership and inside pages, log on to the website www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we move over to Daily Sun. Daily Sun says appointment seekers intensify lobby, follow Tinubu abroad. Appointment seekers intensify lobby, follow Tinubu abroad, seek place in cabinet and starter boards. Change of service chiefs Afenifere expresses optimism of better security. Egbetukun assumes office as IGP, calls for synergy. Egbetukun assumes office as IGP, calls for synergy. Cost of international flights to increase by 20% over naira depreciation. ITA. Cost of international flights increase by percent over naira depreciation. IATA. Strengthening families. Participants Lord Latter Day Saints for organizing conference. Church urges government to formulate policies that will make families better, support marriages. Fuel subsidy removal good for investment, British envoy. President to push for foreign direct investment with world leaders. Imo government gets ultimatum to implement white paper indicting Okorocha. IPOB, Kanu's counsel, Ozekome, Ojeofo not sacked. IPOB, Kanu's counsel, Ozekome, Ejiofor not sacked. Stories on page 27 of Daily Sun. And just beside the masthead of Daily Sun, we have Bill Gates urges the federal government to improve investment in equitable solutions. Bill Gates urges federal government to improve investment in equitable solutions. Stories on page 6 of Daily Sun. For more stories, just log on to the website www.sunnynewsonline.com. And Daily Sun, let's see the editorial just before we move over to the next paper on our menu, and that is NADECO's call for true federalism. NADECO's call for true federalism, the recent call by the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, for a return of for a return to true federalism is germane to the quest for peace, unity, and development of Nigeria. According to the coalition, the 1979 and 1999 constitutions imposed on Nigerians by the military remain the bane of Nigeria's backwardness. In a letter to President Bola Tinubu, NADECO further noted that Nigeria remains a country, not a nation to date, because the military had, without Nigeria's democratic approval, truncated, illegally suspended, abrogated, and replaced our negotiated independent constitution and replaced it with unitary constitution till date. For more on that editorial, just log on to the website of Daily Sun newspaper www.sunnynewsonline.com. From Daily Sun, we move over to the next paper, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian says proposed 114% pay rise for public officials complicates minimum wage negotiation. Proposed 114% pay rise for public officials complicates minimum wage negotiation. Above that, we have PEPC, APM closes petition challenging Tinubu's victory. Court adjourns to July 14. Tinubu pushes for FDI, foreign direct investment, as world leaders seek inclusive financial system at Paris summit. Freed inmate narrates 14-year prison experience for not cooperating with policemen. So it's on page 8 of The Guardian, it's on the Metro page. Freed inmate narrates 14-year prison experience for not cooperating with policemen. And above the leading headline story, we have Nigeria needs state police to tackle insecurity, says ex-Agric Minister Ogbe. Why UK government banned dependent visa for Nigerian students by High Commissioner? Of course, you want to know why, because leadership actually did an editorial on that, saying that UK government should have a rethink on its ban on foreign students' families. And the story continues on page 3 of The Guardian. Just before we go, we want to see what The Guardian newspaper's editorial is on today. So we move over to the editorial page of The Guardian. It says the federal government's loan for students, the act for the Students' Loan Act signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has continued to generate controversies, and the Guardian's editorial is on the federal government's loan for students. From the Guardian, we move over to the next paper, and that is The Nation. The Nation is leading with the story on the student loan. It says student loan plan sparks controversy in universities. Student loan plan sparks controversy in universities. ASU, Konua parents take different positions. Policy due to begin September. MBS Discos raked in 247 billion naira in first quarter. Above those masthead, above those leading stories, we have Envoy reforms were received in UK. Envoy reforms, talking about Tinubu's reforms. Reforms were received in UK. Tinubu woo's US, French, Swiss investors. Because you have similar picture leading the Nation newspaper, just like leadership. Above the masthead, we have court restores Buso as Zamfara deputy governor. Ogbe to government, state police will end insecurity. Ogbe to government, state police will end insecurity. Acting IG talks talk. Well, I just love the attitude of the IG, the new acting IG. This is a nice way to go. Yes, what I told President by Bill Gates. You have to find that on the Nation newspaper. What Bill Gates told President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Eco rice enters market sells for 33,000 naira. Eco rice enters market sells for 33,000 naira. The story is on page 41 of the Nation. Before we leave the Nation, we also move over to the editorial page to see what the editorial is on today, Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. It says strategic collaboration. More states should emulate LIROS cooperation on tax administration and compliance. Strategic collaboration. More states should emulate LIROS cooperation on tax administration and compliance. We also have Syria contemnor, SIGP, a bad role model for rule of law. These are the editorials on today's The Nation newspaper. From The Nation, we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with the story on borrowing. It says, steer clear of more borrowing, DMO cautions federal government. Steer clear of more borrowing, DMO cautions federal government. Says 73.5% of revenue will be used to service debt in 2023. Advocates privatization, sale of government assets to reduce borrowing. Federal government should heed DMO's warning. Analyst caution against further borrowing. Adowe debt service revenue situation very precarious. Abidoye. We also have similar picture of President Bola Tinubu with his aide in Paris as he prepare for summit. Yes, we also have a story just beside the picture. My daughter excited, I'll see Burna Boy Rema in Nigeria. Bill Gates. My daughter excited, I'll see Burna Boy Rema in Nigeria. Bill Gates. Doctors raise alarm over suspected case of rabies in Kaduna. Doctors raise alarm over suspected case of rabies in Kaduna. Obviously, they are not giving and treating those dogs very well. Ministerial clause, Tinubu may dump ex-governors, prefers technocrats. Ministerial clause, Tinubu may dump ex-governors, prefers technocrats, according to source. Benue Assembly recommends sack of 23 local government chairman orders. Benue Assembly recommends sack of 23 local government chairmen orders. Tinubu, Shettima governors judges orders to get 114% salary increase. RMAFC. Tinubu, Shettima governors judges to get 114% salary increase. And above that, above the masthead, we have NG President IPIOT attack congratulates Eze and Naba, new ESCO. Plateau, about 14 killed in night attack on two communities. Kano government reinstates anti-graft commission boss suspended by Gandhi. UK businesses responding positively to Tinubu British High Commissioner. Tribunal Tinubu INEC kick as Obi tenders total PVCs in 32 states. BIA NMDPRA clears air over midstream upstream operations. And then from Vanguard newspaper, just also log on to the website www.vanguardngr.com. We move over to the next paper, and that is the last paper on our menu for review this morning, The Punch. The Punch says, was dissolution, 20,000 vacancies open for APC faithful, Tinubu's allies. Was dissolution, 2,000 vacancies open for APC faithful, Tinubu's allies. With 153 agencies, parastatals, others await board members' appointments. Don't sacrifice competence for political patronage, OPS tells president. We have the picture of Sanwo-Olu, governor of Lagos State, with others as they launched the Eco Rice yesterday. Lagos rice value chain created 2,620 jobs. Sanwo-Olu. Above that, we have hearing continues in Desani's case on forfeited assets. Igbetokun plans tech-driven policing, improved welfare. DSS combs Bauer's Abuja home, extends probe to associates. And above, just beneath the leading picture there, we have Shai's protest. Court awards slain journalist family 50 million naira. Terrorists set 11 residents church ablaze in Plateau. Benue Assembly suspends local government chairs over autumn rule. And just before we leave the punch, let's see what the editorial is saying this Thursday. Punch editorial is on restoring respect for the rule of law. restoring respect for the rule of law. That is the editorial on the Punch today, Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. For more on that, you can log on to the website www.punchng.com. So, well, viewers, this is where we conclude the first segment of the program Inside Nigeria. Don't go away. We are returning shortly with the second segment of the show where we have discussion going on. With me in the studio is waiting is political scientist. He's also a public affairs analyst, Olamileko Adefolari. Stay tuned.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Yes, you're welcome back to the second segment of the program, which is a discussion program. And with me in the studio is a political scientist, also a public affairs analyst, Olamileko Adefolari. Thank you so much and welcome once again.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Of course, we want to be discussing some of the leading stories on today's papers. Of course, we still on the issue of appointment seekers. Daily Sun captures it on its cover today. It says appointment seekers intensify lobby follow Tinubu abroad. Seek place in cabinet parastatal boards. Same story with the Punch. The Punch says 2,000 vacancies open for APC faithful Tinubu's allies. We also have the same story in Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard says mysterious slots. Tinubu may dump ex-governors, prefers technocrats. So they've seen the lobbying has intensified. Of course, with the peace, we like call it piecemeal appointment of special advisors and service chiefs. What do you have to say to that?
I think what is happening is
The pressure is high.
is definitely is high, and what we are seeing is what we should expect, because in every political situation that has battered the new government, people just do for position of authority, people just do for juicy offices, and people also just do for a place in the government so that they can, as we normally put it, they want to recover what they have spent, they want to recover their energy, they want to recover money, they want to recover a lot of things, and this is what is happening right now. So if 2,000 vacancies open for the APC faithful in the cabinet of President Tinubu, definitely it means that a lot of them will get something after they must have labored throughout the campaign period for him, and now that it is now time for them to enjoy. It's expected. So that's what I would just say. It is expected that majority of the APC faithful will definitely get one or two things. You know, I've already said it that when we had the PCC, that means the Presidential Campaign Council, the list there, I said earlier in one of our shows, the list there will justify who and who will occupy a certain position or the other. And this is what is going to happen at the end of the day.
Okay, we've seen that some of those that made it that were in the list, talking about Alake, talking about Wale,
Wale
and they already
Bayo Ononuga,
Bayo
and the rest of
Anono.
them.
Oh, no, those ones have not made the list.
Exactly.
Okay,
But they're in the
these ones
list in the
Yes,
PCC.
exactly. These are ones, and we also have Hanatu Musawatu.
Exactly.
So that those ones have made it, and the list is quite bogus.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, what is going to happen? And are we going to see a situation whereby you petition how do you call it? You petition technocrats, you petition people with the ideas for just to satisfy the whims of them.
Although we cannot rule out that those people in those lists of the APCC, then some of them are not. They are taking part among them. But what we are just afraid of, as I really pointed out, we are afraid of people that may not have the competency in occupying a particular position. Take for instance, somebody that doesn't know anything about the Nigerian economy is being appointed into board of CBN or NDIC or another big economic agency that we know that have NIPSA, for example, Nigerian Export Processing Zone. So in that area, we need people who are competent, who have understanding of the economy of Nigeria for that particular position. So also in the area of health, people that will be composing in the board member of health agencies. We need people who understand the health economy and health issue of Nigeria. So that is where we should be raising fear, just like you have pointed out. But in the overall interest of everybody, should be people who have the knowledge, the competency, and who have the self-patriotism in them that they want to perform. Not people who are interested in going there and begin to say, okay, we must employ, and when they want to carry out recruitment, they begin to carry out recruitment of their person from their areas or from their villages, or they'll begin to fight for contact splitting within themselves. That is what we don't expect from who are going to occupy any position that President Bola Tinubu is going to put out.
Now, talking about the board's dissolution, don't you think that there's need to rejig the functions of the board, so to speak? Because most board, of course, is known that they give it to party members to settle political faithfuls, those that follow. But at the end of the day, discover that this board is it actually playing up to its responsibilities? For instance, we have the issue of the suspended CBN governor, Emefiele. Emefiele was running CBN like a one-man show. Now you begin to wonder what happened to the board.
And for me personally, I've written an article on him, I've column opinion has always been there. I'm not in support of board, but we know that it is not agencies that must have board. Like, why don't we look for the sensitive ones that we know that they will need accountability? Not that all of them don't need accountability, but there are ones that will, every eye of Nigeria is on them, like the NDIC that keep people's money. They should have a board that should guide them. And again, we must also understand what are the rules of board. If you appoint a board member, they should guide the MD or the head of the organization.
Are they really playing their oversight function?
The thing is that the thing is that once you are appointed as a board, like this kind of thing that we're expecting now, it's like you are going there to go and also reap from that organization. Reap in a sense that you make money from it, you collect contract from it, you generate recruitment from it that you are going to give to your people. You employ for just like people that in National Assembly that when they get there, they don't make law, they don't do any oversight, they just go there and begin to run around how they are going to make money.
We even saw the NDDC board that was headed by Loretta.
Exactly.
And in no time she had had rankings with the MD. Of course, the MD felt that she was usurping his role.
Exactly.
And her role is a board role, but she didn't know, and she was also quoting a section of the act setting up NDDC. So, what should actually be done? Because we are not seeing this board or governing council playing a robust supervisory activities over these organizations. They are supposed to supervise.
Exactly. Like, for instance, when you look through the constitution, the constitution already set up the board and agency that the government does need to dissolve their board, which is quite sensitive.
Yes.
Then the other ones that we know that the constitution doesn't support them, is it necessary must have board for them? Because it's also very expensive. When we are not talking about cost of governance, so reducing the cost of governance, because there are some instances that each on monthly basis, on board member receive no less than 400,000-500,000 naira. Some board members,
I thought they receive money sitting allowance when they meet.
It's not just sitting allowance. Some of them they buy SUV for them. Some of them they build a whole house for them. Some of them they send them on retreat. They travel about, and it's not just taking care of the one man that is coming out of a particular family member to become a board member. You take care of the entire family. That's what happens in some agencies, especially agencies that are juicy, that have money, like the NDDC you are talking about now. If you remember what happened to the NNPC also when Disney was in charge. If you remember what happened to the board member of NMP, they are all millionaire overnight. So for me, one of the key things we must let us look out for this. Let us, by retooling them as acts, can we segment this board? There are some board agencies that doesn't need board at all. Can we just keep them aside so that we can reduce the cost of governance and look at the one that really need board member and the board members should be told what they need to do according to the law.
Yes.
That
and it's not when because you are in
agencies.
cahoot with the chief executive, they are granting your wish. So you don't really wear the beast
At all.
where you are supposed to.
Exactly.
And we also see Adefolari. We also see a situation whereby in any case when there's a fallout between the board and the chief executive,
Exactly.
the federal government or presidency tends to side with the chief executive.
Because the chief executives are recognized by the law. That's why they can do it with the board. That's why we are proposing, for me, is that there are some agencies they don't need board. Just keep those agencies and let them function so that we can reduce the money we spend on them in terms of budgetary allocation. Because the board members, what the NSITF, Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, do you know how much the board member took away from that organization when they were paying them over 170 million.
Mm.
They pay themselves. That's why the board and the MD and the board also had issue that they have to say, okay, go and sit down, before they settle the issue.
Like
And they pay themselves
NSITF.
NSITF. That was what brought the crisis, that when the NSITF now went to face the National Assembly through the panel investigation, and they said that certain documents could not be found. And they asked what happened. They said time out have eaten those documents. Those documents are supposed to give them the accountability of what was spent within the period that the board was there and the management of the organization was running, but they could not give account. So for me,
Time out have eaten the
time
document.
out those documents. It was a well written story on social media and
Yes.
traditional media. What I'm trying to point out, the board sometimes constitutes high cost on the budget of an organization. Because a board member can request for a jeep, they will buy it for him. He can request for a new accommodation. If they are not staying in Abuja, they will buy a new accommodation. So many things, and it increase the cost of running that particular organization. Let's not even talk about contract splitting, because majority of them will go after and begin to look for how to get contract from the organization, or they can be getting supporting a particular company to come and take contract from the organization, and they'll get part of that whatever percentage they want to get. So for me, we should look at how we can retooling them and say, okay, this set of organization, this set of agents, they don't need board. They should just function and respond to the minister or to the president who is in charge of the country, and respond to him and take cue for whatever he's telling them. Then again, those ones that we know that require or that don't require board at all, we should be able to put them and say, okay, this one they don't require board, but this is what is expected them to do in terms of reporting and showing transparency and accountability in their dealing. But we say everybody should have a board. Don't be surprised at the end of the day, the budgeting of those agencies will increase, and it will be part and parcel of what they are going to spend on the board.
Wow.
So we should look at how we can streamline and retool them in that way.
Is there any way? What do you think can be done to reduce cost of governance? Because the money being spent to govern is so much more than, even higher than what is needed for the governed, for those that are being governed.
Not just that, the capital projects of some agencies discover that what they are spending on recurrent expenditure is more than it. So one of the ways is to see how we can reduce the cost of government and reduce too much of political appointment. You have an MD, political appointed. Then you have directors. Some directors are even political appointed. Now you now bring board member that will now be 6, 7, some of them 12, some of them 14, some of them even 21, depending on the agency. Now bring them, and they'll be, I said earlier, they'll be earning not less than 400,000, because we want to peg their salary close to, if it's not close to a minister or close to a permanent secretary. That's how board member is. I know you have a chairman, you have members of the board, you have a secretary of the board. Sometimes the secretary of the board could be the MD of that organization, DG of that, but sometimes they have someone else occupying. So you pay a lot of remuneration, and not only that, when they go for retreat, that is when they even spend more. They can say they are going to retreat in UK, in Dubai, or anywhere in part of the world, and they will go. Sometimes when that agency is going for international program or international event, they carry some board member along, and all this add to the cost of running that organization. So we still look at how can we say, okay, these are the organizations that need board, these are the ones that doesn't need board, so that transparency and accountability can be there. Then the cost of governance can reduce. Then we can now focus on the staff welfare of that organization and focus on the real work that the organization is supposed to be doing. But when we say board member, 2,000 of them being expected, this will run into billions of naira to be able to take care of these board members at this time.
Years ago, just a few years ago, and at this where they process visa papers for Paris and or whatnot. I saw an organization. They said they had a program in Paris. If you see the contingent, it was quite huge. I came home, I told the editor, I said, no, this is something, is it not worth looking into? Because how can you just carry a whole about the money being expended?
That's it. And don't be surprised.
An organization that you don't even think, I think it's video census board or something like that you don't even think that, they will have that kind of money to play with in the first
when it comes to that outing,
10 going to just go and participate in a summit.
Don't worry. By the time maybe President Tinubu will be going for any UN engagement, go and see the crowd of people that will be following, even hunger or whatever. Like this Paris that I went, just that it's like they use technicality to reduce the number of people that will follow him. For now, because others they are not actually done. So there are very few people that went with him to France. But just wait for the subsequent traveling of the president outside Nigeria. you will see the way jostling will be happening. That they will go, this set will go. They will submit the names of people that will go. They will submit their document, everything. And you see the crowd that will follow him. There was a time in this country that over 300 people were following the president outside the country to go for one particular event or the other. It happens. I don't during the Buhari era. I think they tried.
There even reports that the outgone Minister of Labour, when he went to
ILO.
And
that one
went on the last day. That had a large contingent.
Definitely. ILO meeting normally comprise both the TUC, NLC, and other allied. They normally go. So those ones will also go with the member. But the minister himself go with almost all the agencies.
When he had left office.
Yes, now it happens because maybe in the proposal, in the allocation, it has been prepared, it has been signed, so they have to go. Or will they leave it vacant? They will say there's no minister to represent Nigeria. So they will have to take that opportunity. And I know when public officials travel abroad, it's spending spree. There's a money they give them that if you don't spend all, you return it. So most of them will normally find an opportunity to just go and spend all, because if you don't spend all, you return it. They will ask you to bring it back. And most times,
in overseas countries, you can actually see people,
like
retiring money that you have been given.
Yeah, to be disrespected, but they don't return it. And most times, ILO normally support contingent countries with money, like Minister of Labour, and they will support all of them. And sometimes they give them more than even what the government of that country has them to give to them to travel. So it's an opportunity. It's a spending spree opportunity for most of these government officials, and they take advantage of it.
Now, going forward, Adefunle, what should be done? Because we cannot continue to have the same system. They say there's a saying that there's only a foolish man that does the same thing repeatedly and expect a different result.
Exactly.
So we cannot continue to have the same high cost of governance, given the scenario Nigeria is up to its ears in debt. So what should be done to trim down on governance?
We have said it time with time number on this platform, another platform.
And unfortunately, unfortunately, our current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has a large, is a lover of people. He has so many plans. So how is he going to do it?
The thing is that he must listen to the voice of reality and the voice of reason. In sense, at this point in time, we don't need too much political appointment in the system. They will consume a lot. The recurrent expenditure that we're talking about, that we are normally putting the blame on the civil servant salary or whatever. Part of and parcel of it is the political appointee salaries that also come into it. You can see in one of the reports, 1.227 billion will be spent for 4 years for ministers, for SAs of the president. 1.27 billion for 4 years will be spent on them to take care of them. You know how much that can do a lot for water projects across the country. So what I'm trying to point is that they should look at the way they can streamline appointment. Everybody should not be appointed into government. And one bad aspect of this appointment is that when they appoint a particular person, he or she will also bring somebody in, not less than 3 to 4 persons. I was just so surprised that the SGF was having chief of staff. I was like,
okay, he also has a chief of staff. Okay,
and the chief of staff will have his own PA.
He also has a PEMSEC.
And there's a PAMSEC is there.
The office of the SGF.
And I know the best form would have been just appoint somebody within that organization to work for you, not somebody from outside. Although we understand why this is happening, it's also political patronage, because we are in a rentier economic state whereby it is all about whatever you do, you'll be compensated by your power of contribution to the politics, and that's what is happening. But we must look at the voice of reason is that we don't have much money to spare in terms of paying people who will just be doing duplicated work. Because in government, it's all about duplication of work.
It is.
So we should have a way to reduce it. And in reducing it, that we must reduce political appointees or appointment.
No, talking about, as we are still on the issue of appointees, these bogus governors. Now, there was a report yesterday that the ROMAFC has proposed 114% pay rise for public officials, and even president, vice president, all those. And this has continued to generate a lot of flags from Nigerians.
Exactly. So the thing is that for me, and the quick advice to the president is this: just keep this aside for now. It's not
during inauguration, I think at a community center, the first lady did tell Nigerians that they don't really need Nigerians' money. They are already enough as it is. So they are just coming to serve. So everybody now expects, what is the president supposed to do to them?
Definitely for me, I will ask him to just drop this away, just drop the document. Although the RMFC people have said it's a rumor that it was just a proposal and it was not. It hasn't been signed.
It was even proposed.
Proposed that it hasn't been signed into law.
worried that in these harsh economic realities that Nigerians are facing, subsidy removal, and with all what not, we are also going to have electricity hike in July 1st, that ROMC will actually propose, not,
I think what
given the fact that even the citizenry up to now,
revenue,
they have not actually started also benefiting from subsidy removal.
Exactly.
There still is a work improvement. They're still talking about it, and ROMFC we still just still propose this kind of
I think what happened was that there was a activity that they carried out last year, early last year. They look at distribution of the allocation of to all states. Then also look at this particular increasement in the salaries of the political
the
appointees.
Nigerians already be saying that the money political appointees are earning is too high.
Do I even think that you should even bring it down?
Exactly.
Especially when Minister of Labour then, Chris said he's earning about 940,000 naira monthly. And people say, wow, 940,000 naira monthly. Can we bring it down to? He said that is why the professor too want to earn like him. So he must tell Nigerians the truth.
And RMC is it not abreast of what is happening?
Definitely. But for the wisdom to be applied, this is that when the president comes, although they say it's a proposal, it should just end up like a proposal. It shouldn't get to, even if he has to take a look at it, you just keep it aside for now, because Nigerians
are waiting for him to
exactly. And again, for Labour is already angry that what kind of proposal it is when we are still talking about negotiation of a minimum wage to be increased. So
and you are jacking up, you are proposing jacking up political appointees.
Which is the workers' minimum wage they take to up to this amount, it would have been better. But as I said earlier, when the president comes and we take a look at, I know you must have heard about this media report. You should just look at it and keep it aside. You don't need this kind of
president with where the hearts are going to the first lady, would he be gracious enough to say, "Oh, I'm not going to receive"? After Donald Trump did it in the US, exactly. Just collecting $1. I think it's so. Do you see the president also saying, "Oh, I'm not going to also collect"? I just came to say.
Definitely, he may decide to do that. Already, he's collecting pension from the Lagos State government. Exactly. That one is for life. Exactly. That one can take care of him and his family for life. And he don't have more children. They don't have, although they may have too much, many dependents. Exactly. They may have a lot of dependents, associates, and the rest of them. But for me, even if you say he goes to collect, he should call from Nigeria every month when he collects. He should come and distribute it at a good rate for Nigeria. That would be a better option.
Without even distributing, you can just say no, just got leave.
No. If he say he's not collecting it, many Nigerians will not agree that he's not collecting it.
Many Nigerians will applaud him for that.
But if he say he's collecting it, but he's going to give it out.
No, I personally will approve.
That he should not collect it.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Just before we go, there's still another trending story that I just want you to highlight, and that is the issue of I think it's the issue of student loan. It has continued to generate a controversy since the signing into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, what are your thoughts?
I think for me, it was something that came as a delightful news, but it is now receiving mixed reaction. Mixed reaction in the sense that there are people who believe that with this law, school fees is going to increase in public school.
That is the fear now.
That is fear. Then the other aspect of
the fear.
They
are waiting for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to allay the fears
of Nigerians that we are not giving loan in the name of using one hand to give you, then use the other hand to collect it by backyard. No, another fear is not just increasing school fees. So another fear is that the qualifying people that are going to get it. How will it be like? Is it sure that Nigerians who are really indigent, because people are giving different interpretation and definition to indigent students. So is it indigent student means someone that comes from the village or someone that is also in the city but is poor? So people are looking at the interpretation in different way.
And the condition set, many people are also of the opinion that at the end of the day, that loan will remain inaccessible, given the fact that it said the parents should be earning 500,000, not more than 500,000 in a year. And if you divide that, that means both parents should be earning about 21 or 20
22,000. That is the calculation.
So that at the end of the day, they have about 40-something thousand
together
in a month. So, indeed, is there a family that exists like that?
Definitely.
Even those that are not earning. What about those that are into business?
They are into business. The key point.
Then you now bring is it director as
sureties and although for the condition, many people are like the way I look at it from an economic perspective, it wasn't that
And
stringent
many people
enough.
like my leadership editor in chief, as we say, as we say, they say that in what he wrote in his column just last week. I
Yeah,
said
we
to
shared
you,
it with me. Yes, yes.
shared it with you, and you did say that besides, like I also said in our program too.
Mhm.
Federal universities, government-owned university, they pay as little as 45,000. They don't pay
Exactly.
much. So who are the students that your own students that are going to access those
The
ones?
loan.
Besides, if you are talking about private universities, of course, 90% or 80% of Nigerians actually go to private university because of they cannot actually the federal universities, the
Cannot
existing ones
take them
cannot
all.
take them all. Now, he says that a parent that send his or her ward to private universities, of course, is well off, to access it.
But for me, the issue is
Well off that it doesn't even
you
need
need the loan.
the loan in
But
the
the,
first
the
place.
target from the law is public university, public
You see.
people. So the target, although you can ask the government to
And
review
even hostel accommodation, it's still 90,000 naira a day.
per yes per room.
Mm.
Even it's not is it per room or the way some of them will come
For
together
bed.
and for bed space
Bed space.
90,000 naira. So it's quite much. But we are just
No,
hoping
it's
that
not much for a section. You pay just 90,000.
it's much. That's why
It's
some
not
people
much.
will go outside
It's
and
not,
go
no,
and
it's
put
not
their
much.
money
That is
together.
why I was like, it's what I paid over the years. I was so surprised. Like I told you, that I was privileged to travel with some students a few years ago. All of them in all universities, both the private ones, the federal universities, and even some from my alma mater. So I was opportunity to ask them that as they were telling me the prices, even those in private universities, how much they were paying as tuition. I was wow. And of course, they also told me that at any private universities, you don't necessarily no lecturer fees you any because of the huge amount you pay. So I used the opportunity to ask those that are in federal universities, especially those from my alma mater, how much are you paying now? And I was surprised that they are still paying the school fees I paid years ago. I asked accommodation, it's still the same amount. I mean, and nobody knows this, that most the money, as well as those in the federal universities, that the federal government is actually subsidizing those school fees for you. So how will the parents of those ones now come and access loan for just 45,000?
We just hope that for me the process will be transparent enough. If you approach the education bank, as they are going to call it, they will have opportunity to tender their document, and their VC
and
will not
having
victimize
education
them.
bank across the country is at the end of the day you are still going to it's too much.
It's another way of generating employment, but they may be situated in the school of those schools, universities. But we just hope that for me, what I'm after is that the transparent nature of the processes. That a VC will not, because the VC is going to write a cover letter for
my
you.
editor-in-chief actually said that with the bureaucracy involved, with the number of people you are going to be paying, at the end of the day, the money you are going to be paying the officials, those are going to be in charge of now, it will be much higher than the loan itself that you are even going to give.
Exactly, because some people will just go for a what do you call it, a semester or a term loan, maybe 100,000 for that term, and they'll pay and collect and go. But my concern has been the transparent nature on how to ensure that it is the indigent student that we have said that's going to get it. Not that from the back door, a politician will now go and gather people from the village and begin to collect loans from them. It can happen. So we should avoid all those excesses that will make the sector or that particular area to be now corrupted. And that is what we don't want in the system.
Thank you so much. That's the takeaway from today's program. We don't want a corrupt system on this student loan. But we have to heard it all from our Thursday guest. He's a political scientist. He's also a public affairs analyst at the Folari. It's always a pleasure to host on the program.
Thanks for having me.
If I come your way again, same time, same station. I'm going Freddy Double. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.